What we've been doing over the last 12 months is looking at ways of saving energy and meeting the 10-10 targets. In June last year, we were fortunate enough to work with the Carbon Trust, and a consultant from the Carbon Trust came and did an assessment of Universal House, which is the Trust headquarters. The consultant was looking at ways to save energy and reduce our carbon emissions within the building. The report itself highlighted a number of areas where we could make quick wins and where we could make efficiency savings very quickly. The report also detailed how much those savings would amount to. As a result of that, we formed a small environmental impacts group, and we started working on different ways of reducing energy and making efficiency savings. The group itself consisted of representatives from a number of different directorates who had a positive input into it. So there was a representative from communication and engagement team, someone from finance, someone from emergency planning and governance. Together we worked as a team and we developed a number of initiatives as to how we were going to reduce our carbon emissions and also save energy. The biggest one that we focused on was raising staff awareness. This was done in a number of different ways. One of them was by having eco-champions within the building, and we ended up with 14 eco-champions who were responsible for each floor and each wing, and it's their duties to try and implement ideas and encourage people to switch lights off and switch computers off. These items were promoted through the staff newsletter, through emails, through posters and displays throughout the building. Another initiative that we did was to work with schools in the Middlewich area, certainly primary schools, and to get them on board and them involved. The aim of this was to promote the work of the Primary Care Trust and to raise our profile, but also to get the young people thinking about carbon reduction and also to design some posters for us. As part of that, then staff judged the posters and we had some winners. Other ways that we've engaged staff is through mileage reduction. We worked with the IT team on a ready reckoner, and so now we've got standard mileage rates and mileage figures, so that if people are going to Middlewich or Northwich or Wilmslow or Macclesfield, they know exactly how far that journey is. And over a 12-month period, we saved £42,000.
The information communication team had started to look at plotting all the shortest journeys to each of the bases that the Primary Care Trust actually serviced, and this was also adopted then by the wider teams within the Primary Care Trust as a basis for making sure that everybody was taking the shortest journey to route, and this was published on the website. So working on the ICT model that they introduced of taking the shortest journey, we actually started to look at what mileage actual individual staff members and which teams those staff members came from. And we were fortunate here because all the staff details, mileage claims and where people worked was actually stored in one particular database, so actually extracting the data wasn't as daunting as we first thought it might be. So very quickly we were able to map how many miles people were travelling, which directorates they were coming from, and then we challenged each directorate through their director to reduce their mileage, thereby reducing their carbon emissions. Having run this for 12 months, we managed as a Primary Care Trust reduce our carbon emissions by 50% from the previous year, which was excellent news for us. And the travel costs were reduced by just over 22.5% in this first year.
I was part of the corporate savings group when we had to make some financial savings, and we were tasked with making a saving of anything we could within the resources used in the building. The first thing we thought about was we could potentially make savings on stationery and printing. It was an area where we knew there was some wastage taking place. The first area we thought about was colour printers, because cartridges for colour printers are very expensive. We therefore asked our IT department to disconnect everybody's printer from the colour printers, and just nominated one person in each team to have access to the colour printer. This way everybody could do their colour printing if needed, but they had to ask that particular person to help them to do it. Therefore everybody then had access to a black and white printer, and in order to make further savings on the black and white printing, we encouraged people to set up their machines to do double-sided printing, and if possible to do two sides to a page, which means that you can actually save 4 sheets of paper by doing your black and white printing in that way. We communicated this to staff by email, and also we put up notices by each of the printers just with some top tips for saving. We have really only one colour printer and one black and white printer for each wing in the building. Everybody's networked to that one printer really. The order of paper was reduced by about 25% overall.
We're here today just talking about the work that the PCT have worked with you as part of the CECPCT partnership.
Yeah, the CECPCT partnership is a public sector group we've drawn together over Cheshire and Warrington looking at carbon management. There's 24 organisations, including PCT, NHS organisations, but fire and rescue, police, local authorities and the colleges and university. And I think you've shown a great lead in terms of the savings you've done on sort of the mileage and the sort of energy efficiency measures. And that's then being shared with other public sector across that consortium, and learning, and the work you've done on Eco Champions is fantastic. So we've helped you develop that through help from the police and the Warrington Borough Council, and bring your Eco Champions to the table to help spread the message through your workforce.
Yeah, certainly the messages that have come out of CECPCT have been really useful for us, and what we have done is taken on board those messages and brought them back and used them with our staff, and it has then helped us effectively communicate the message.
I think the trick is to give staff the understanding, the awareness of how they can take control of their decisions. And you've got examples of 70% reduction in staff travel or business mileage. That's a great, that must achieve fantastic savings. But that, staff are always then, once they've got the idea, looking at ways to save and take the environmental message forward on transport. And then what else they can do, switching the lights off the PCs and combining trips out and making most of their sort of travel away. I think our partnership is providing a great example for other areas, sub-regions in the northwest and nationally. We've got interest from North Wales and the rest of the sort of region. And the Eco Reps Handbook has gone to North Wales, it's gone to the Isle of Man, it's gone to every police force in the country. So, that's the efficiency and the improvement we're making and sharing best practice across the country.
Initially, we started with the need to save millions of pounds to balance the books during 2010 and 11 for Central and East Cheshire Primary Care Trust. The Corporate Savings Workstream, as it was called, was a bit of a ragbag of different internal and external spending streams with an identified savings target of 10%, which was over £1 million. I had the lead as the director on behalf of the Trust Board. However, I drew together very quickly a small team, some of whom you've already seen on this film, to help work up the plans and deliver the actions that were necessary. Importantly, saving energy and working efficiently ran hand in hand. In delivering the actions, communication was our golden thread, running through all of the team's work. It was really crucial for every member of staff in the PCT to believe in what we were trying to achieve, and changing their behaviour was part of our plan. The team had to communicate, and communicate again. Firstly, talking about why we needed to change and why members of staff needed to change, and introduce some new ways of working. Then communicate again to demonstrate early successes, followed up with more changes of practice or behaviour. Some were suggested by members of staff themselves, and continue with a greater number of successes, so savings and eco-achievements with credit given to either teams or individual members of staff who'd suggested yet more ways to achieve the efficiencies. The small core team drew in expertise from internal partners such as ICT department, as well as excitingly using a local primary school to give a different perspective on the important eco-savings messages. Having PCT staff choose a winning poster joined together the PCT and the local primary school, and it was fun in the process. I'm really proud of the energy, talent and commitment of the team and the wider group of staff in the PCT in delivering the huge success that this work has been. Communication has been so integral to the success that it's really difficult to separate it from the overall project. Without excellent, creative and meaningful communication,